Hi, Steve Blythe from J.Racenstein. And so you've made your choice and you've chosen an Easy Pure and a CLX pole. And you're now going to get that delivered to you and you're going to wonder, what do I do next? Right? So we have our box that's been delivered to us today and our pole sitting over here, and variety of different hoses for which to hook up. So let's go through the opening of the box and then we'll talk about how you might hook it up. So inside the box you're going to find pieces of hoses that are going to be connected to the Easy Pure in particular positions, and the Easy Pure unit itself bundled up in shrink wrap. Okay, a recap of this unit is we have the first filter being a carbon filter, and that's to protect the two RO membranes. All right, the two RO membranes feed the DI cartridge, which goes out to your pole for pure water cleaning. So we're going to hook this up. I take my input hose and attach it to the carbon cartridge. It's probably a good time to try to find a marker and put the in-service date on the carbon cartridge so you know 6 months later or so that you might want to replace this. First thing I'm going to do is drain the carbon cartridge to get out the extra carbon fines and powder, as I don't want to make the RO membranes have to clean that up. Hooking up the water source. You'll need to only do this once. During the manufacture of the carbon, they acid wash this material when they do that, but there's always a little bit of extra material that can't be cleaned off that you'll just want to flush out. And it started out black and now it's clear, and there's no reason to have your filter work extra hard at cleaning out that carbon dust. Now it's nice and clear. Turn off our water and we can attach the line that comes out of the carbon filter and into the ROs. This is a similar procedure to what you would do if you wanted to replace the carbon cartridge. Remove the two ends, disconnect it from the Easy Pure, put a new one in and reconnect it. Now I have to connect up my wastewater hose and my output line to the Easy Pure, and I can open up the wastewater hose for my initial running and turn the water back on. I'm going to let this run for a minute or so. Now that the RO membranes have had some water in them, I'm going to start to turn up the pressure on the membrane by turning down this RO bypass valve, which is now putting more water through the membrane rather than past it in what's called flush mode. You'll see now that the water flow coming out of here is actually a little bit milky white. Here in the Carson store, I'm going to take a look at what my TDS is using this handheld TDS today. Take a little water off the tap, put it in the TDS tester, and today we're at 263, so we're in pretty good for where we are. Usually we're more closer to 300 here. So 263 is being put into the RO membranes through the carbon filter. And we've asked these RO membranes to start performing their function by turning down the bypass valve and producing pure water. The water that comes out of this bypass is containing the majority of that TDS. And you can see here that we're at 456. So the RO membranes are rejecting out the bypass tube most of the dirt that's in the water coming from the city. At the end of your production day, or even could do this at lunch, you'll want to turn up this bypass water to flush out the membrane. What's happening here is that the water is now going down the sides of that membrane and trying to scavenge off any of the TDS or solids that have been attached to the side of the membrane. If you do this at the end of each job for 3-4 minutes, it'll help you extend the life of your membrane. Go back into production mode, and we'll watch the water turn more milky white. So as we discussed, when we turn on the RO production valve, the bypass valve, we're always going to get some water leaking out, and that's going to be typically 2 to 2.5 times your input TDS. And you need this to be running all the time in order to properly run your RO membrane. So you'll put this in a drain, or you'll put it in a flower bed, or in the garden, or on the grass, because it's fine for that. It's just a little dirtier than the input water. Now, sometimes, depending on your connector here, you may not see water production right away. And that's because some of these connectors have a stopper valve that automatically stops the water from coming out. This particular one does. Some do, some don't. So in this case, I'm going to turn the pressure down and connect what would be your next hose in the system to get the water flow to produce. Turn the pressure back up. Now you see I have production water, pure water coming out here that we're going to go clean the building with. All right, so now we've got our Easy Pure up and running, and it's producing water. How am I going to deploy this? There's two basic ways. People will either take this unit and go place it by the hose bib and run, say, 25 feet of garden hose or so to this cartridge system, all right, and then from there run their pull hose to where they're going to do their cleaning. Alternatively, other people will want to leave the filter bank in the vehicle, so they'll run lots of hose, maybe 150 feet of hose like this system. All right, this is a high-end electrically operated reel. There's reels all the way in between for managing your input water, and then run this hose out to their water source to the vehicle, all right, and then through the filter in the vehicle and on additional hoses out to where they're cleaning. Those hoses could also be put in a reel. All right, we have reels over here that we can show you that are lesser than this one in a moment. So my input water, my water through my Easy Pure is now coming out pure along with my bypass water, and I'm ready to move on to hooking up my CLX pole. All right, this is the CLX pole. It comes with, appears to be a bit of hose, but as you extend this pole up 27 feet, the pole is going to consume this hose up to where you're only going to have about 10 feet at the bottom of the pole. So you're going to need to be able to connect between this pole and the Easy Pure in some manner or form. So if we go down, we'll see here that I've got 3/8 line. This is 100 feet of 3/8 line. And a typical job, you're going to need 200 to 300 feet depending on how you're deployed. 200 feet if you're sticking the Easy Pure near the structure, 300 feet if you're running it from your vehicle, which might be parked a little ways away from the structure you're cleaning. So this is 100 feet, and here's 100 feet on a simple Cox reel for being able to roll it up. The reason people use reels is the time is money. If it takes you an extra 10 or 15 minutes every time to pull that reel in, that could be $25 of lost revenue if you're trying to get $100 an hour out of your work. So our hose will run out to the pole. I have a very simple hose set up here that we use. This is just some Tucker hose that we cut to length to put a fitting on for doing demonstrations here at the Carson shop. So I take my pull hose in the variety that you have. You want, connect it to the Easy Pure. The end of your hose, you'd want to have some sort of an on-off valve. This is a ball valve and a quick connect. We've been using quick connects for this, for your output water from the Easy Pure. CLX is going to have a connector similar to this. Turn it off, push it together. I've now got water coming up to the CLX. This amount of water out this far, that's a lot of water, and you pay for every gallon you make. So you're going to find that you're going to want to turn this down Here in Carson, we've got 80 psi of static water pressure and about 75 psi of flow water pressure while the unit is producing water. That's enough for 2 pulls. So I'll turn this pull down to about a good production flow. If you have too much water coming out of the pole, it's going to bounce off the glass and go everywhere and cause you to get other areas of the building dirty. So you want the water to slowly come out and not bounce around when it hits the glass. So this is typical of what people would use for putting out water. Extending your pole. You don't need the entire length of the pole. Only extend your first section, doesn't matter of the brand, out a couple of feet, 3 feet like this. This will give you more of an overlap in the second section and make this top section stronger and easier to maneuver on the glass. My glass only goes up 26 feet. And this is a 27-foot pole, so I won't be using all of it. So here I've now extended this pole probably about 22 to 23 feet up to hit the top of this 26 feet piece of glass. I've got it up in the top corner here, and I'm going to start cleaning. You'll work the brush across the top at first to get the top of the glass, and then you'll start working up and down. You'll develop your own technique for how far up and down you're going to go in each one, and you'll want to start learning to walk in and out to avoid using your arm and shoulder muscles to do all the work. Using the big lower body muscles will make the day less painful when you are finished and ready for the end of the day beverage. Now that I've got it scrubbed, I'm going to rinse. You're going to want to work around the building with the wind today. It's coming over my back, so if I was cleaning, I'd be working this way down the building. And you'll also want to rinse with the wind. You don't want to tilt this water into the wind so that the dirty side of the brush is where I'm going to rinse next. Making sure that you cover all the area. Here we've got a little hydrophobic glass, so I have to make sure I rinse really well. When I move over, I'm going to rinse where the brush was touching, and then when I do the next piece of glass, which isn't here in this demo, I would refinish that last piece on my first rinse bar. There you have it, you're up and running.